for next week. Let's try not to wait till Sunday. If you think of players, send them to me this week. By Saturday would be appreciated. And then lastly, we do have mic holders. So again, you got a question for Coach, raise your hand. We'll get you in queue. We'll go about 15 minutes with each of the coaches. So, Coach Lester.
All right. Thanks for coming, guys. Obviously, last week, hard-fought game, physical, and guys competed hard, and several injuries. Mark was obviously one of them. 3 days after that, encouraging news is, that they, all those guys that are banged up are going into a bye week. We're all into a bye week, right? So today was bye week practice number 1, and it was exciting for us to get out there with, I think we ran 56 plays today out there with our guys, the twos and the Devo guys, and guys that haven't been in there a ton. So it's been a lot of fun for us to get those guys out there. None of the ones got any reps today. All injured players are working hard to get back. Don't know Mark's status yet. It's cloudy. We don't need to know, though, because it's a bye week. So next week, same bad time, same bad channel. You'll have the head ball coach standing up here. He can tell you more about it as we find out more. But excited to be into a bye week. We needed it. 4 weeks of camp, 5 games straight, some physical games, and been improving. And excited to get back and work with some of the twos and threes as the season goes on. We're going to need those guys. They're going to be in prominent roles. So it's a good week to take a breath and regroup. Went with that. Yeah.
Hey, Tim, LA Clough, Hawkeye Insider. Regarding Mark, Hank,
yeah.
I guess, where's your confidence level at with Hank, especially having little experience? I mean, he did play this last week, and I guess, what did you think about how he played, given that he was thrown in a tough situation?
It's tough. I mean, I'm sure he'd tell you he wish he played better. I think we all, everyone does. His feet were a little giddy. Made a couple big throws. Missed a couple. I'm sure he wants back. He went in there. He was going to the right places. We just got to get his feet underneath him. He has such great feet, calm feet. It's one of the reasons he had a pretty good spring and into fall camp. And we got to everyone's feet. Mark's feet look like that on week 1 too. So and Mark's feet have been improving. I mean, last 3 games, I feel as if I think he's like at 70% completion. He understands it. He's comfortable with it. Any quarterback that goes in there for the first time is going to be. They just need to calm down and relax a little bit. And I thought he did that. He made some good plays, but he's got to improve. And him and Heck had a great day today. Heck hasn't been here very long, but he's getting more comfortable with what we're doing. And so it's been back to this week. This is a fun week for me to have those guys take a ton of reps and see where they're at. And they both need them because they don't get as many. The other guys have been on the scout field. These guys are getting a ton of reps this week, and just to see the improvement that we're going to need, if he's in the game.
Chad likes to go Des Moines Register, regardless of who's a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yards per carry is down quite a bit this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, the explosives aren't there, but what do you attribute that to thus far, and how do you get that going in the second half of the season?
Yeah, we do. I mean, I didn't think it'd be as explosive. Wanting some of those to come out of the pass game. We've had more explosive pass plays than we had last year because every year is going to be different. The inconsistency, to nobody's fault, in the running back situation has been interesting. They've all been working hard. We've literally had a different guy start, I think, every single game. I think we finished last game with only 2 that were healthy, So, and one of those was Kamari, who was hurt early and didn't come back till game 3. So just getting the consistency with the O-line and the running backs, I think that's going to help a ton. And as we become better at throwing the ball, it's going to take more and more pressure off the run game. So I think points are up. All the stats, as I look at them, you really don't stop halfway and look at them. But this would be the one time to peek at them. And you peek, and we're a little up in this, we're a little down in this, we're a little up in that, So, it's hard to judge other than, we got to, figure out which backs are going to stay healthy, and have some consistency there. They're all doing a good job. I really felt like last game was kind of a really good football team, a team that was in the college football playoffs last year, and it was going to be a a Jazz and X physical, but they were both hurt. So it made it a little curveball there, because it was just going to be a grind. They're really good up front. I forget what they were ranked, like number 2 in the country on defense. And so yards were going to be there, but they were going to be hard to come by. Broken tackles, get the pile pushing forward. I thought Kamari did a really good job a couple times pushing that pile. Jazz and X kind of naturally, that's their go-to. So we just need more consistency in that. I think that'll help us get some more explosives in the run game. And then obviously the pass side of things is helping the whole offense and the points part of it, which is up a little bit, because we can be more balanced, which is the goal.
Tom Kickert, Hawkeye
Tom.
Report. Tim wanted to
Love your shirt, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Go Cubs.
Yeah.
Today's the day. Isn't it
2
today?
o'clock.
Yeah, sorry. I'm in the middle of the season, but I did see that, and someone told me it starts today, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, good for them.
Has Reese Vanderzee gotten back out to practice with you guys? Do you expect him back for Wisconsin? And just kind of an overview of the receivers and how they've developed so far this year.
Yeah, we have, and I'm proud of this, and we're nowhere near where I'd like to eventually be, but we have 15 receivers, running backs, receivers, tight ends that have 2 or more catches right now. Like we're spreading the ball fairly well. Obviously, I would love Reese to be one of those guys. I think is going to start practicing next week. He's been doing more and more. I think they have him running a little bit right now, so he's close. That's all I can tell you. None of the decisions have to be made during a bye week, but we're hopeful that he'll be back soon and getting a big target like that on the backside of he plays the X receiver, so he'd be a huge advantage to us to have a guy like that. But Sam's doing a great job in that spot, and he's getting better. And I think you just see the receivers as a whole. We still got a lot more to work on. I think we're running routes. Our depths are the proper depths. They're making plays. I'd like to see more run after catch. It's something we haven't seen yet. But it's something that we're building to. It's always the last thing that comes, right? So I'm proud of that room. That room's done a good job in creating some separation, making some plays. Obviously, Dayton made the big play at the Rutgers game. And we also have to put them in situations to make those plays. We've had opportunities to take some shots down the field that we've checked down on, and that's something I know Mark talked to you guys, but I got to be more aggressive. And I'm trying to call it aggressive, but you got to make the decision and take that shot. And he's starting to get more comfortable with that, and that's been fun to watch his growth as a passer. He's always a good manager. He's a great runner, but to see him, his feet and what they did the last couple of weeks, just to continue to develop him as a passer, it's been fun because he's a great kid. He works hard. He wants to learn. And so it's been fun to see what he's been able to do and just continue to put them in spots to be playmakers, because if the ball's not thrown to you, you really can't be a playmaker,
Ethan Petrie, Quad City Times. I'm curious, because Mark's legs have been such a dynamic part of his game this year, how much changes with what you're able to do when Hank comes in, and when he comes in, you had a little experience with it last year. How much are you balancing what I want to do with the offense right now and what he's comfortable with and the plays I know he likes to go to? Yeah,
it's a good question because it's different when you have a week to prepare and when it happens in the middle of a game, right? When you have a week to prepare, I have each player, each quarterback, 1, 2, and 3, fill out a form of their favorite plays. And I make my call sheet look like the starting quarterback, but I always keep them in a file. I hope I don't have to ever open up that file, but I did last week. I'd open it up and take Hank's out just to see what his favorites were, on the sheet. And so you try to call a game to make the kid comfortable. Hank is way more athletic than you think. I think he's a different style of runner. He's more on the edge guy than up the middle. Sully was more of an edge guy than up the middle guy. Mark's unique in that he does a good job keeping his shoulder square and working the A gaps, which not a lot of Tebow could do. Not a lot of guys can work the A gaps like quarterbacks at least. Yeah, and then in the game, you're really just thinking, where's he at mentally and how can I make him comfortable? We ran some short passing game, some screens just to try to get get him calmed down. I used to not calm down until I got hit when I played. I needed to get hit by somebody and then get up, relax, and start playing, when I was a quarterback. So during a game, you really don't change much of what you're doing. You're just trying to keep him comfortable. And then we got into a 2-minute situation. At that point, you got to go. There's only one way to go. And I thought he did a good job. Missed a couple things. I'm sure, he's going to learn from it. But he also got us a couple first downs, got us across the 50. We just got to finish that drive. We had a couple chances. Sailed the last one a little high. The one before that, he got a little bit confused. I wanted him to take a shot, and he didn't. But, that's learning, right? It's first time in there, and he's hungry, and it's been good to see him out there today throwing it again.
Madison Earth Gazette. First off, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I wanted to follow up with the running backs a little bit,
Yeah.
and just the fact that you guys haven't really had the opportunity to stick with one starting running back every game this year. How does that adjust when you kind of get the word like, okay, we're not going to get Kamari this week. Okay, we're not getting him this week. Okay, and this week we also are not going to have X and Patterson. How does that change your approach?
It's difficult, right? Because they each have their fastball, right? You know, like this is what he does best. Because you always try to put guys in the position that they do best. We try it with receivers, like, hey, I need a field post. I know who I want on that route, and I can move that position there. You know, it's made it very intriguing. Personnel-wise, because we've added words to the end to make sure I'm getting the right people in for that play, you know, and some guys are better on the edge, some guys are better in the A-gaps. The good thing about our running back room is I feel like they all can do everything, but you still want to keep them in their fastball, right? And like I just said about last week, we really didn't have a, you know, grinder, A-gap runner, you know, that's his bread and butter. You know, we're playing a team that we kind of needed that, you know. Marks kind of was probably our best big back last week, you know, and we didn't run him. We didn't want to run him much in there, but he did. He scored on one. But it makes it difficult. You know, Omar's done Coach Young, our new running back coach, has done a great job. And, you know, just shuffling them around, trying to keep them comfortable. And one of them is a true freshman. Nate the Great he's rolling. He's super talented. He's just young. You know, so try to keep him comfortable and not put him in too many situations that get him out of his comfort zone. So it's definitely difficult. The great part is you have a great group, right? That most teams, if they got to their fourth and fifth, would be in huge trouble, and our guys are still able to execute. So that's the silver lining, but it is difficult, and it just takes a little bit more planning on the front end. And then a guy gets hurt in the middle of the game, and all that planning goes out the window quick. And they've made those guys really have done a good job. And Kamari coming back from his first injury, he's really starting to get comfortable. I feel like at the end of the Rutgers game, he really started feeling like he was back. You know, not afraid of the shoulder anymore, running hard, and did a good job in the game against a really good front. So, we were really happy to have that guy of all of them back.
Hi, Tim. Tyler Tashman with
Hey.
the Des Moines Register. I was curious, the play called the 3rd and 5, Hank was in the game. It was a play right before Drew missed the 42-yarder. Can you just walk through, I think it was a screen pass, just kind of the thought process behind that?
Oh, it was there. Yeah, it was a touchdown if we execute it. We went back and forth. You know, his last throw down the field was picked. That went through my head. We were already in field goal range, so I was trying to think what kind of safe call can I have for the quarterback since we're already in field goal range. So we went with kind of a 3-step screen combination, which we ran all game and hit it. I think we hit it 3 times. We never hit the stick. We hit the hitch twice, and we threw the screen once to Kamari. And I forget who was suggesting it was when we were talking about it, but it was the best aggressive, give us a chance to get the first down and end the game, as opposed to dropping him back, you know, and trying to read coverage and split 2 safeties or, you know, something simple that still gives us a legit shot. And we got lucky. They covered the 3-step. They stunted the backside end, which actually gave us a clean lane for the throw. We got 2 linemen out on the will, and there's really nobody left over there. He just kind of fell away, and, you know, the ball got away from him, and he missed the throw, you know. But that was because we had a lot of discussion. I don't know what happened. There was a stoppage of the clock before then, so we had a chance to talk about whether we're going to put him in a position to have to go make a 3rd and 10-yard throw. Running it, we hadn't been super explosive, so there wasn't really – so what's the happy medium of – if they give us a quick throw to Weege out there, we'll take it. If not, we'll give a chance to a play that's hit three times. And man, it with the stunt, it actually made the throw a little bit easier. You know, and we didn't complete it, so we had to kick. You know, but that was the discussion that went through before making that call.
Owen Sebring, KGAN. DJ Vanami had 7 catches this last week and just about the most by a tight end, I think, since he's been here. So has he emerged as maybe, like, with the absence of Estrenga, as maybe the favorite tight end in that room, or a guy who's just built a really good connection with Mark?
Yeah, it's just watching him get better on a daily basis has been a lot of fun. High school quarterback, you know, and came in here, never had played, kind of like Reese Vanderzee. Like, they're just learning a new position. So, I mean, the level of growth that a guy like that can have, and you've seen it. He had to put the weight on first. He had to learn how to block, and let me tell you, quarterbacks normally don't naturally do that. But he's learning how to do it. And then obviously we got the screen pass in his hands against Rutgers, and he got in space a little bit. So, what happened in camp, Ort got banged up at some point during camp, which really forced DJ to get a ton of reps and really sped up his growth. So you really got to see that he was ready. He had one drop. He came out of the thing. That thing was humming. Mark threw it right on time and it turned. But he's never too high. He's never too low. He's a tough kid. He's young. He's going to have a really bright future. So we trust him. And so when we're making play calls to get a guy, Ort can really run after the catch. But DJ just has a great ability with the ball in his hands. So, Coach Hodge gets to choose when I call the play which guy he wants to put there. And on that middle screen against Rutgers, he chose DJ. And gave us all a chance to see what he could do. And we have to continue to find ways to get him in space because he's really good.
Chad Leistico again. Before my follow-up, is it fair to say Gronowski has a shot to play against Wisconsin?
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, it's cloudy, but it's rehabbing. Hopefully, everything. They're all rehabbing. Hopefully,
not season ending. It looked bad at first. Not season ending. Okay. Regarding the quarterbacks, how does that? What are you trying to get out of this week then with those two guys? Because it is, you might have to play one next week or both.
Or both, right? It's a huge week. I can tell you this about Hank. Hank at the end of spring ball was really humming. Started a little bit slow this camp and then really started pushing Mark at one point. Once his feet got back to comfortable again. Heck is a great little player now. He's tough. He's got a little swagger to him. He reminds me of like when I played, like a little gunslinger. He's probably aggressive, but he just wasn't here very long. And now he's been here, So it's fun to have two guys that have a ton of talent, that don't have a ton of experience, but they have a ton of talent. And they just need to be around it and hear it. And so today was a lot of fun for both of them to be out there. Because as the third stringer, you get no reps. It's just the way it is. And so to see Heck out there today, Hank got a ton of reps too, obviously, but was fun because I think he's a very talented kid. So it's going to be a huge week for us just to let those guys get the reps. Unfortunately, because of the situation we're in, Jimmy and Ryan aren't getting a ton this week. They're getting a ton on the scout team every day. They're down there. They were the Mendoza brothers last week, both of them, and so they're playing a ton. So for us, it's so much fun to see some of these guys. There were some huge plays made out there today. Guys some that were on the scout team, some that have just been kind of rotators, on offensive, pretty much the backup O-line, getting to run the things full speed. And, Heck and, Hank have done a great job of learning from watching Mark. But there's only one way to know if you really learned. You got to get out there and do it. And that's what this week is for. Like I said, we ran a lot of plays today. I think we're going to run a lot more. Really for those two guys, just to get them comfortable no matter what happens, so it's fun to have numbers, and guys. And so it was a good day today. And that's the fun part about a developmental program, but especially during bye week is a huge weekend for a lot of guys to move up because we're going to need them, as we go through the stretch.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it, guys. Go Cubs.
Who do we play?
Are they good?
Yeah.
Is Chris Bryant still there? Didn't we trade him to the Padres? No. This is how much I pay attention. Okay.
We're going to have to turn it on.
Football gets in the way.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, thanks. How's everyone doing? Very good. How are you doing? You didn't respond. Okay. All right, guys, I appreciate everyone being here today. Obviously it's a beautiful day outside. Got a good bike ride in today, so I know it's beautiful out there. You guys could be doing a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot going on in the world right now, but I appreciate you being here and your interest in Iowa and Iowa special teams. Kind of a little bit starting off, we've had some really good moments on special teams, some electric moments. You guys probably witnessed some of those in person. We've had, some really amazing things done, and then some plays that are like, man, what the heck's going on? Right? So some inconsistency. Those are things that we're striving to try to improve here throughout the bye week and keep pushing forward. And feel really good about some things, and some things you just got to keep addressing and keep pushing forward and keep improving on. First and foremost, I really do love this team. I've been around, enough football at different levels in college and pro, and seen some really good players and some maybe not so good players, some teams that start off really hot and then kind of fizzled out. I think right now what we have in this football team is amazing human beings and some guys that are really, really connected. They're working really hard, that really believe in each other and have great work ethic, great toughness, great effort, energy every single day. And so we're seeing some of that out here, and getting a chance to be a part of that is pretty fun. Coming to work every day is a lot of fun with this group. And I kind of mentioned this the other day on Sunday, or we met on Monday after the game, and pointed out a couple of things when you watch the tape, right? When you watch Iowa football, and this is important to me as a special teams coordinator, that when you watch Iowa, what do you see? Okay, so you turn on the tape and you watch. I think you can judge a football team based on their kickoff coverage unit and their field goal block unit. That's an old adage in coaching, because typically you'll see, hey, is it going to be a touchback? What do people do? Do they back off? Do they slow down? Okay, it's going to be a touchback. I don't think you see that when you watch us. You see our guys flying through the goal line, all working to the returner. They're fighting each other to go get the ball, to bring it back to the ref. Those seem like little things that, kind of ticky-tack things, but those are things I think when you really watch and you really know football, you watch those things and you see those, and you see a team that's hungry, and a team that's trying to get down there. I think when you watch a field goal block unit, okay, is another thing, in coaching, that if you look at it, you can kind of see as a team, how are they really playing? Okay, throughout a game, because it's a response unit, right? A field goal block unit. Either you just got scored on and you're playing for a point and a PAT, or hey, we got to get a stop and we got to keep points off the board in a field goal. I think you've seen that from our units. If you watch how these guys operate, how they take the field, and gotten our hands on the ball, field goal block, a couple others that are really, really close. But I think you're seeing guys fighting, scrapping, clawing for every single point, every single inch out there. And that's I think what we have on this football team overall, and it's fun to watch and fun to coach and be a part of. So that being said, any questions y'all may have?
Ethan Petrick, Quad City Times. I'm curious, Drew's missed a field goal in 3 straight games. After the UMass game, he said that he was really focusing on driving his kickoffs, and that's maybe what led to the field goal miss against them. Haven't talked to him since the last 2 games, but what do you think is going into the field goal operation not being, perfect? Yeah,
I think first off, it's a unit, right? So it's not just one person, and Drew's the kicker, so everyone looks at him. It's sort of like the quarterback. Everyone looks at the quarterback. Did he make the pass? Did he not make the pass? But there's 10 other guys out there, right? There's 10 of the things, 10 of the layers that go into that in regards to any play in football, particularly in field goal. But yeah, not the kicks he wanted to make, and not didn't go through the uprights. I've seen Drew make plenty of kicks that have gone through the uprights. Right, that's another thing we saw. We saw a career-long field goal from Drew in week 1. We see it every day here in practice, right? We see him every day. Look at this kick; it's unbelievable. And also over the course of his career, he's gone out and he's made big kicks for this football team. Just didn't get it done in the most recent game, but that to me is a one-off. That's not Drew Stevens. That's not the guy I know, the guy that I've watched work and grow over the last 4 years. So, to me, I attribute it didn't get it done, didn't go in the way he wanted to, and continue to work on it and continue to improve.
Hey, LeVar. Elliot Clough, HawkeyeInsider.com. Regarding the Rutgers kick specifically, I know you mentioned it's not just one player, right?
You're talking about field goal?
Yeah,
kick?
yeah,
Okay.
the field goal. Sorry. How much of that is snap? I mean, I know you've got a first-time, snapper that isn't Luke Elkin for the first time in a while. Mm-hmm. How much of that factors into maybe not that specifically other misses, issues that maybe you've had otherwise on special teams?
Sure. I think it's more operation. Again, there's 11 guys on the field, right? One guy gets to kick it. Hopefully only one guy kicks it on one single play. Otherwise it'd be really weird, but I've seen things happen. But again, it's operation, right? When you talk about operation, it's not just 1, 2, or even 3 guys. It's 11 guys. And so you need cleaner snap, you need cleaner hold, need better kick. I mean, that's bottom line. And I think there's also still as a group still gelling together and working together, whether you're talking about whoever's snapping the ball or whatever. It's 3 guys that haven't been together nearly as long as Luke to Ty to Drew, so there's some of that still working through as well. But I have all the confidence in the world in the guys we put on the football field. I got all the confidence in the world in Drew Stevens. I've seen this guy, I actually had a conversation the other day. I've seen him grow and mature as a human being, like exponentially. And, to me, we are human beings, regardless of what we all think when we send someone out there. And, people have money on games and things like that. You think it's just some machine. It's just supposed to happen because some guy set the line at this point. But, man, they're human beings. We're all human beings. And I've seen Drew Stevens, man, like, it's unbelievable the growth this kid has made. And the amount of confidence I have in this guy and the stuff I've seen him do on the football field, it's unbelievable. We've all seen it, right? We've all watched. Guys made 3 game-winning kicks for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Okay, didn't get one done the other day. I mean, sucks. It freaking stinks. And if you're a competitor like Drew is, he's got to sit here not only for 1 week, but he's got to sit here 2 weeks thinking about it for the next opportunity. So that stuff eats at you as a competitor. But to me, I think it's more just didn't get the job done. And that happens from time to time. There are percentages. Right? If you look at numbers, you're not going to make 100% every time, which is unfortunate, and it's, as a competitor, that stinks, right? It sucks. But again, you got to live with it, and you got to deal with it, and you got to keep moving forward and trust your process.
Owen Sebring, KGAN. Something that Caden Weegan told me a couple months ago is that when you were recruiting him from over at Iowa Western, that he said that you told him that he reminded you of Tim Dwight. I was curious what maybe went into that comparison, what you saw in him that made that comparison, just because that's obviously a name that holds a special place in Hawkeye and Iowa high school fan sports lore.
I think initially, like the stature, right, and how he runs, right? Tim's not the tallest guy. Tim's blazing fast. Caden, again, not the tallest guy, but super fast. Caden has really good balance, right? Really good lower body strength. It's very unique to have a guy that can do kick returns and punt returns and still. He has a speed of a wide receiver and like probably the build of a running back. I think it's a very unique build that he has physically. Now there's the fearlessness part, okay? Because Tim was fearless. When you watch him, you go look. And I had to pull up these YouTube clips, because believe it or not, they didn't have the video digitized from back then. So we're looking at YouTube clips late at night during training camp one year, and watching Tim out here this end zone. Man, it was Arizona. I think I was a true freshman. I was a true freshman. Tim came down as a gunner and just tattooed this guy, right? As a punt gunner. I was like, watch this. This could be you. Going through all the things, going through all of his returns. Caden Weegan's pretty dang good, and I think Tim would tell you the same thing. But he's a competitor, just like as I mentioned. Drew is a competitor, a guy that wants to make plays, a guy that's trying to do right for his team, and again, goes back to the makeup of this football team. But he's a really talented young man. But I'll go back to he's really talented. He'll be the first to tell you, like, he didn't get touched against Rutgers. Like, didn't get touched. And that until he had to touch his off returner, at the 5-yard line. But so there's a lot of other guys working for him and trying to help him, and they believe in him too, right? That's the other thing about this team, man. These guys really believe in one another, and they want to work for one another. They want to, sure, he scores a touchdown. There's 10 other guys run all over the place, getting excited and getting hyped for Caden because of the success that he had. So.
Do 4 more. Start with Chad.
4 more?
Chad likes to go.
Okay.
No matter how long the answers are. So you can,
Sure. Sorry.
Chad likes to go Des Moines Register. Teams have gotten really smart against you guys in just fair catching kickoffs because your kick coverage is so good. So how do you adjust to that now that you have a bye week? Can you adjust to that? I mean, I know it would require a bouncing kick, right, for them not to fair catch it, or just can you adjust to that?
Sure.
Or are you happy with the 25?
Yeah, I mean, I think situation dictates some of that, and I think you are right. Like, people watch and they see. Again, this is something that's coached too, right? Like, how do you cover every play? Are you covering through the goal line? Does a coach look at you and like, yeah, we can get a return against these guys, or does he look at you like, I don't want to return against them? Okay, and that's kind of that's part of being a competitor. You want to put that out there on tape when someone watches you. Like, man, they don't want to return against you. It's up to them. Do they decide to fair catch or not? We were able to force a situation at Iowa State where we tried to force them to return and the ball ended up on the ground. They were trying to fair catch it and we get on the 4-yard line. So there's that element of it as well. But it's their choice. We just got to be ready if they try to bring it out.
Tom Kakert, Hawkeye Report, Idle Bar.
Tom, how are you? Great to see you. Great to meet you, actually.
Yeah. First time.
First time.
The guys on special teams, who's kind of jumped out this year, coverage guys that maybe you were thinking about, and then they've gotten out there and performed well?
Yeah, so coverage, and I'll kind of hit overall just the core players. Obviously, you know about Lutmer, you know Entringer, right? They're the gunners. They're flying down the field. Okay, there's some other guys. I think Preston Reese has shown up, right? Especially early in the game. He had 2 tackles, 2 big tackles inside the 20, blocked a punt in his first game. Teams have definitely found him. You know, they definitely have game plans for him right now. Derek Weiskopf, I think, has shown up as a young guy. Nolan DeLong has shown up more so in punt return and kick return, done a really good job. Same thing with Landon Van Kickricks. Chubbs is what we call him. Like, man, he's quietly a really good football player, and he's really helped. You go back and watch Caden's touchdown against Rutgers, which I encourage you guys to do. He knocked a guy down 3 times. Like, boom, knocked him down. Or no, excuse me, knocked one guy into another guy. That's 2 knockdowns. The guy gets that back up, boom, knocks him down again. And everyone's like, wow, how is he so untouched? Like, man, this guy kicked the crap out of that guy. Chubbs kicked the crap out of 2 guys. Like, that's how you score touchdowns like that. So go back and watch that and look at it. And those are kind of guys that, to me, they're unheralded. Maybe they don't get the recognition. To your point about everyone wants to go make a tackle on kickoff, but you can't always do that, right, based off what the opponent does. But those are some guys that are really showing up right now.
Mitch Vick, KJN, just wondering.
Hey, Mitch. Great to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you, too. Year 2 for Reese punting, just if you could evaluate him 5 games into his sophomore year.
Yeah, Reese, really talented young man, still a young player, right? Still going through, again, I talk about being a human being, right? And things you see at practice versus games, but really talented. This kid is really like how he works every day, very diligent, very focused, accountable. You can coach him. There's no pushback. There's no, well, coach, I don't think this, but you don't see that at all from Reese. He's a couple things we're still working on, ironing out. We're still trying to build some of that consistency between snapper to punter. But what he's done so far, I've been happy with. He hasn't had as many opportunities, which is good for us, right? Because less times. I think he's averaging 2 punts a game, maybe 3. You guys know better than I do. But I thought he played his best game last week. As far as 47-yard punt, fair caught, 1 inside the 5, another one had a chance inside the 10, bounce back. But I think he's really starting to come along. Just still a thing looking for consistency, right, with what we're doing.
Last question, Tyler.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. Nice to meet you.
It's great to meet you.
The block punt last week.
Yeah.
I guess, can you just what your diagnosis of that was and kind of what happened there?
Yeah, so again, going back to consistency in operation, right? So snap location, getting the punter pulled off his line, not great in that. So that definitely doesn't help. But again, those are some of the things, consistency that we're looking for and we need to improve upon. Again, I don't attribute it really anything other than that. Like, I wasn't overly upset because it's like, man, we just got to be better, and just hard for me to not be upset about those things. But I'm trying hard, trying to keep that blood pressure down a little bit. But in regards to that, again, just we need to be better than that, and I expect us to be better. So, but I don't think anything. I don't see anything like, oh, it's Reese's fault or it's this' fault, the snap's fault. I don't see that. I mean, we're a unit. We got to just be better, be cleaner.
Okay, thanks, Laura.
That's all you guys got?
That's all he let us have.
That's all I let you have. Fills up.
Thanks,
All right,
Laura.
appreciate
If
you
you
guys.
were last, we'd let you keep going. If you were last, we'd get there. Let you go another 10 minutes. Coach, floor is yours.
Welcome, everybody. Just wanted to say a couple things about our team, where we're at. Obviously our record, what our record is 3-2, obviously, but you can't really tell that by the way our kids have been, putting the effort and the time and the practice. I've been really pleased for the last 5 weeks, the way they've been practicing and the way they go about their business. And you can go all the way back to camp and the 4 weeks that we were in the camp. So I'm very pleased where we're at, and I think we got a lot of young guys that are growing in their positions, and they're learning us on the run. And I think this is a good break over here to reevaluate some of our players and some of our schemes, and then move on to the next one of Wisconsin in a week from now or less.
So, Chad.
Chad Leistico, Des Moines Register. You've been blitzing, it seems like more, especially the last couple of weeks in big games. Why is that, and what's that done for you?
Well, I think, you look at different situations, and it's depending on, who you're sending on a blitzer. That's one. Norm Parker always used to say, it's not about the blitz, it's about the guys that you're sending. We have probably brought more blitzes on different situations on second down maybe that I'm, haven't really done in the past. But I think it's helped us a little bit and keep the quarterbacks a little bit off balance and uncomfortable. But, when you blitz, you got to make sure that you cover guys, and sometimes it can get you. If you blitz, sometimes it can hit you one play like it did last week. And so, but you got to live with that. And you got to live with it. Say, hey, the success that you had, we blitzed on a couple fourth downs and won, and we won a couple of those. I think it was, 3 of them. So, there's a trade-off, you know what I mean? And the same thing with coverages in the back end. If you want to play press coverage or if you want to play too high in a shell, what do you want to do? Do you want to let them move the ball down slowly, or 4 or 5 plays and all of a sudden they hit a big play, and then hopefully you can hold them to a field goal. So the philosophies hasn't really changed about the explosive plays. I think we've probably given up too many explosive plays so far, and then 25 or more. So we're still working on that and trying to make sure that everything's important, every play is important, and kids got to understand that.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. I wanted to piggybacking off of that. The call on it was the 3rd and 10 from the Iowa 49, yeah, and decided to bring the pressure. I know that had generated Zach's pick earlier in the game, but can you kind of just walk through the decision-making process in bringing pressure in that situation?
It's usually a feel in the game of how we're going about things, and I did bring the pressure on the other one, got the interception on it, but it was a time where, hey, it's either they're getting a little bit close to kick a field goal, the time's starting to run a little bit down. I thought we had to hurry up and make a decision on, hey, put a little bit of pressure on the quarterback, see if we can get it out. Are they going to punt it after that? And and it's just it was just a little bit. That's the way those things are. It's I wouldn't say all or nothing, but you got to make sure you're perfect, and you can always go back and second guess yourself like that. I just remember one time and said, hey, we can go the other way and play 2-man and play 2 over the top, and I did that probably 2 years ago. I did that, and all of a sudden it went for a straight touchdown over the top, and then I said, well, why didn't I bring the blitz? Everybody's really good after the conversation, on the headsets or whether it's in the newspaper or whatever. It's always, hey, second guess, So, that was my thought process, is like, hey, let's put some pressure on him. This is a good quarterback. I think we had him rattled a little bit as far as what he does. And, I don't know, we held him to 20 points and, 200 and some yards. I think they were averaging 300 yards rushing and 280 in the passing game, But that doesn't anything. We lost the game, so that's the only score that really matters, But that was my thought process about it.
Hi, Phil. Jack Leader with KCRG. Back to general blitz philosophies there. How do you decide, basically, you're mixing and matching, who's going to be the 5th or 6th rusher? We've seen Jaden Harrell come from the field side, or Jaden Harrell up the middle, Xavier blitzing, Cohen blitzing. What's the rhyme and reason behind that? Who it is?
Well, it's obviously we spend some time in this building preparing for that. And we're always looking for answers like, hey, how can we get some pressure on these guys to make sure that in certain down and distance, we break it down all the way the 3rd downs and then the 2nd downs. And what we try to do is figure out how can we put pressure on them and how can we get there. Some of the pressures that we call sometimes might not get there. You have to adjust. So we work on that during the week. We have a set plan of, hey, the ideas that come in with our staff, and everybody's involved that's in our staff, and we talk about it. And so we have a plan to go through it. And then, later in the week, as you're going through and preparing, you try to see what ones that you feel is the best ones, and that's when you call them, I guess, I don't go in there and say, hey, I want to call bad blitz, But usually what happens, though, we're pretty good about, adjusting those blitz. You could call something and it could check to another thing, or the pattern could change. So there's a lot of different things that can change based on the way they line up. So, and who's where.
Hey, Phil. Elliot Clough, Hawkeye Insider. Wanted to ask about the three linebackers, Jaden Harrell maybe specifically, but are you happy, satisfied with the way they've played so far this season? And I know Jaden Montgomery got in and sent him on a blitz right away. And I guess what were you thinking about his play in the little bit that he's been able to see the field?
He's been doing a good job, and Montgomery's been doing a great job in practice, and he knows the system, and he's a hard worker. His dad's a coach, so his dad played here. I mean, he has all the buy-ins as a player on defense, and you really like and enjoy that. But when Harold went down, he's been doing a great job of understanding what we have to do and making sure that the front is adjust the way it should be, and I think he's been doing a good job. And Carson, I think he's really done some good things for us too at the Willbacker. So, all those guys, they're growing. They're still young, and there's not a lot of playing time as far as like a full time when it's meaningful doing a game. And I think they've done a great job. And Seth has, obviously got them in the right direction.
Mitch Vick, KJN, just going off that, with the new linebacking core, filling the gap that YA leaves, Cohen getting an expanded role, Xavier moving over, just through 5 games, the defensive is an entire unit. Are they on schedule in terms of expectation? Just to evaluate them overall of where they are, considering there's a lot of new variables.
Well, like I said earlier, I'm really pleased the way they're going about their business, and the work ethic that they do in practice, the preparation in the building here, what they do, and it's all been positive, and that's the thing you really enjoy. And you're going to see, I've seen growth already in the first 5 games, and I expect more, as we go through it, and as they play more. Obviously, they see things more, and it's just even the last game. They come back and they can see things like this. Hey, Coach, now I know what you're talking about. I can see it. So the more reps they get, it's hard. When you're pursuing to the ball, the angles changes all the time, and we've obviously been working on some. We've missed some tackles, and we've been trying to work on that. And it's not easy to try to tackle. There were good running backs, and being more consistent of how you get there, the sense of urgency, the angles that you take, and make sure that you eliminate those missed tackles or explosive plays.
Madison Ritzik, the Gazette. First off, nice to meet you.
Oh,
I wanted to ask a little bit about the turnovers. Getting back-to-back turnovers in the last 2 games. I know there was 4 games where there wasn't a turnover generated. What did you see, if you saw a switch between those first 4 games without a turnover and then these 2 back-to-back games with an interception?
Yeah, it's very interesting. You talk about when you play a little bit more man coverage, a little bit more press coverage, you get less eyes on the ball. And, we probably are playing a little bit more press, a little bit more man at times. And when you do that, you're not looking at the ball. And when you play more zone, you got more guys looking at the ball, you can see it and have better opportunities for interceptions. When you're playing bump and run or where you're playing some type of man-to-man, it's usually you're so playing tight coverage that you might get more pass breakups, but not more turnovers. So that's kind of a thing we've been working on, but we've always been working on the turnover circuit that we have at the beginning of practice. And I think eventually what it is, the turnovers come as you graduate. They'll come to you if you're doing what you're supposed to do. And, obviously we want more takeaways, but you stop somebody sometime on 4th down, that's like a takeaway, as I look at it, so there's different ways to look at it and different philosophies, but obviously I think we're low in takeaways too.
Hey, Phil. Tom Kakert.
Yep.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. You?
Good. Wanted to ask you about, you brought up the tackling. How do you work on that during the season? Because it seems like it's really limited in terms of time you can do it. Is that a bye week focus this week for your team?
No, we do it every day. We go through a tackling circuit doing practice every day, but it's not like we're taking these guys down to the ground, and it's just basic. You're doing the fundamental things of, how to tack, how to strike, how to wrap up, and I think our guys they've been doing it for a long time, and I guess you start going back and the cutting and down into the guys that you have on your team, and things have changed how we're starting to practice a little bit. We can't be as aggressive probably on, we probably need to be more aggressive in the springtime of making sure that these guys are on task and do more live stuff. But I don't know if that's the answer either. I think it all comes down to guys processing usually the play faster and knowing the right angles, how they have to go to the ball. And I think everybody has a, there's always a guy that's outside, supposed to be an outside support guy. There's always going to be an inside guy, and there's always going to be a guy running the alley, and there's always got to be a run pass guy. So, them structures haven't changed in the 27 years that I'm going on, so, or 26, I've been here, I don't know, 6 weeks. But they all been the same philosophy as far as what we're looking to. And it all starts with your eyes and seeing things, whether it's a reverse or something, how to leverage things. Lutmer over here, we give him a missed tackle on the sideline over here. He's on this side over here, but he runs the guy out, somewhere like 35 yards on the other side. Doesn't really tackle him, but he forces him out of bounds, and he's a missed tackle. Well, I don't know if it's a missed tackle. If he wasn't there, the guy would still be running. So, there's a kind of decision whether you're saying, is that a missed tackle? If you don't get there to have an opportunity to wrap a guy up, how can you say it's a missed tackle? You just didn't get to the right spot. So our whole idea is make sure you get to where the ball is. Simple game. My dad used to say, tackle the guy with the ball. Is that simple? That's all you do. Everybody's played backyard football before, and you play 3-on-3. Everybody's going to leverage the ball and tackle the guy that has the ball. That's simple. Hard to do. So.
Brad Schultz, Daily Iowan. Coach, Cohen Intringer came up with 2 big 4th down stops against Indiana. What have you seen from him so far this year?
Oh, he's a great kid. I think he has, he started his high school years of, as a soccer player and then turned over to more of a football player. And he's really young in experience of, I was talking about being has he been playing for so many years? And it's new for him. All this stuff is new, and the leadership, I think he's doing a great job in that. Obviously there's 2 good 4th down stops that he had. But, there's going to be some times when you talk to him, he's going to say, I could have done better. And that's the guys that you want, And I think everybody on our team is like that. And if they don't worry about the plays they make, they worry about the plays they didn't make. And when you get into that frame of mind of thinking and making sure that, hey, I'm humble enough to understand the game of football is very, very hard to do. And, it can humble anybody. You sit and watch the NFL guys, and they're giving up 40 points a game. I don't know what I would do with that. I'd probably be taking more, blood pressure pills. Obviously I'm starting to run out.
Ethan Petrick, Quad City Times. I'm going back to Cohen's 2 stops on 4th down and Zach's 3rd and short stop, the play before Cohen's first 4th down stop. How much are those short yardage situations, what you're scheming up or what you're telling the guys to do, and how much of that is just incredible individual effort for the 11 guys that are on the field?
I think it's both, and when you start going through it, there's always some thought process how you want to play the things. When you do what you got to have it. What do you want to do? Whether it's the one I blitzed on 3rd and down, you got to have it, let's go, let's get it done right now, or it's on short yardage, whatever it is. If we don't stop them here, then, the game could be over. So there's sometimes you got to make the decision and say, hey, you got to put more risk out there, but there is a risk and reward. And, we turned out to be all right on the first 3, the 3rd down and shorts, but not so lucky on the 3rd down and 10, so there's a trade-off in that. But, I think it was good. I mean, I think we practiced it a lot. I don't know if we called it a ton yet, and the execution was obviously, pretty good at what they did. Now, there's, you go back and look at it, there's a couple guys that weren't perfect. It's hard to be perfect. You try to teach these guys to be perfect in practice, just so you have a chance to compete on game day. And that's hard. And it's hard for everybody to do that on every play. And just like anything else, and you guys do, you guys write articles, you guys do that. Are you giving your best every time? Sometimes when you put your effort out there, sometimes you go back and grade yourself, or do you have it in public where somebody sees it and actually grades it? You know what I mean? Like, hey, God, what's my resume like that? Ooh. How many stories did I have that were perfect and boy, I didn't miss anything on that, So sometimes, it's easier, It's nice when nobody's evaluating, you know what I mean? So, and I'm not trying to be funny or anything. I'm just saying it's hard. It's hard. Football's a hard game. It's fun. It's a kid's game. And I'm very fortunate to be part of this, a game that we're playing. Love it. And I'm glad to see the kids. You see the development. And being around these kids, that's what makes it fun. It's not about anything else besides seeing the way the kids work as a team, and that's the best. Offense, defense, special teams.
Last question, Chad.
Chad Leistico again. Speaking of kids, I know you guys are really high on Buffington, Reese, and Weiskopf as prospects. And I know they're not on the depth chart now, but is this bye week a chance to really give them a look? And is there any way they could crack into the actual rotation, barring an injury this year?
Oh yeah, they're right on the edge there. I mean, we're trying to making sure we get a lot of reps with those guys, and I'm sitting there looking at the practice today. I said there's a lot of reps for these guys to improve, and they've been doing really well doing camp, and we know they're on their way and the verge. But the other guys are a little bit ahead knowledge-wise. But these guys are coming along, and they've been sitting here for 5 weeks, and they see what's going on, and they have a chance to get in there, help us, whether it's a series, whether it's 2 series or something like that. I think all 3 of them have a chance. Obviously, they work on the special teams, so they've been in games already. So, we're pleased with the way they're working.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. That was great. Thanks.
All right.